Welcome to this explainer. Today we're diving straight into a mystery that touches pretty much every single family in the United States. We're going to completely demystify the macroeconomic forces that are currently squeezing the modern American worker. By pulling official data straight from the Federal Reserve, the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the Census Bureau, and the Congressional Budget Office, we're going to reconstruct exactly what is happening under the hood of our economy.
So, why is building wealth so incredibly hard today? It's the fundamental question on everyone's mind, isn't it? Look, if you're feeling like no matter how many hours you put in, you just can't seem to get ahead, I want to assure you right now you are absolutely not imagining it. Your financial anxieties are incredibly valid. We're going to look at the hard numbers to show you exactly why the traditional, old-school path to building wealth has become so unbelievably difficult for the average person. Here is the wild paradox of our time. As of 2022, total household wealth in the United States hit a mind-boggling $199 trillion. Even adjusted for inflation, our aggregate net worth has basically quadrupled since 1989. The wealth is clearly out there, the economy as a whole has expanded massively, and yet, for the individual household, the actual act of building wealth feels harder than it ever has.
Section 1. The American Wealth Illusion. To really understand why wealth feels so out of reach today, let's take a quick trip back to the 1980 economy. Back then, the personal savings rate consistently sat comfortably in the double digits, and a median home would run you just about $63,700. High nominal yields actually rewarded you for keeping money in the bank. Fast forward to today's economy, savings rates are absolutely plummeting while the median home price has ballooned to over $400,000. We've shifted from an era of robust, rewarded savings to one defined by compounding financial pressure.
Section 2. Wages, savings, and survival.
Because let's face it, to build wealth, you first have to survive the month. And despite all the overtime and the side hustles Americans are taking on, real average hourly earnings, meaning wages adjusted for inflation, increased by a microscopic 0.3% between March 2025 and March 2026. Sure, nominal wages went up 3.5% on paper, but because inflation rose by 3.3%, almost all of those gains totally evaporated the second you went to the grocery store or the gas pump.
And all of this directly eats into what economists call your household surplus. This is literally the bedrock of long-term wealth accumulation. It's simply the margin between your take-home pay and your basic living expenses. But with real wages completely flat and the cost of daily life just relentlessly ticking up, that crucial buffer is being completely crushed out of existence. And the math is simple. If you have no surplus, you have nothing to invest.
Section 3. The housing affordability collapse. Historically, buying a house was the primary mechanism for middle-class families to build their net worth. Today, that cornerstone has hit historic lows in affordability. A median home is now valued at over 4.6 times the median family income, which is just a staggering imbalance. As a result, the national homeownership rate, which actually peaked at 69% back in 2004, has slumped down to 65.3%. When the average sales price of a U.S. house blows past $500,000, making that jump from renting to owning becomes a massive brick wall for most families. So what happens if you can't buy? Well, you're forced to rent. But Census Bureau data shows us something incredibly concerning. Nearly half of the 42.5 million renter households in the United States are officially cost-burdened. That means over 21 million households are trapped, surrendering more than 30% of their entire income just to keep a roof over their heads. When that huge of a chunk of your paycheck vanishes on the first of the month, saving up for a down payment becomes, frankly, almost mathematically impossible. Section 4. The household debt trap. Think about it. When your wages are stagnant and housing eats up your entire surplus, how do you manage the gap? For millions of Americans, the unfortunate answer is consumer credit. Total household debt hit an all-time record of $18.8 trillion in the first quarter of 2026. Now, mortgages make up the bulk of that at $13.19 trillion, but it's the non-housing liabilities that are really suffocating families. We're talking $1.69 trillion in auto loans, $1.66 trillion in student loans, and a staggering $1.25 trillion just sitting on high-interest credit cards. This isn't strategic wealth-building debt used to buy assets. This is survival debt. Section 5. The Great Wealth Divide. So what is the ultimate macroeconomic result when you combine stagnant wages, wildly expensive housing, and massive debt across an entire population? According to the Congressional Budget Office, the wealthiest top 10% of families have successfully leveraged highly appreciative financial assets, things like real estate and equities, to capture a jaw-dropping 60% of all wealth in the United States. It's a self-reinforcing cycle. Compounding capital returns work incredibly well for those who already have capital.
Now flip that coin. The reality for half the country is starkly different. The bottom 50% of the US population holds just 6% of the wealth pie. And here is the kicker. That share hasn't budged an inch. It was exactly 6% back in 1989, and it remains exactly 6% today, even as the total pie itself quadrupled in size over that same time frame.
And there's actually a hidden vulnerability for that bottom 50%. A massive chunk of their so-called net worth is what's classified as Social Security wealth, basically projected future benefits they are promised. But Social Security is a non-marketable, non-transferable asset. You can't liquidate it to fix a broken transmission today. You certainly can't use it as collateral for a mortgage. And, crucially, you can't pass it on to your kids to seed intergenerational wealth. Relying on this leaves the lower half of the population structurally, fundamentally fragile. Section 6. A fragile financial future. This systemic difficulty in building marketable wealth isn't just an individual tragedy, it is a massive structural vulnerability for our entire economy. Consider this deeply sobering data point from the Federal Reserve. More than 1/3 of the population cannot cover a basic $400 emergency without borrowing or selling assets. Just think about that for a second. We sit on $199 trillion in aggregate national wealth, yet over 1/3 of our population is quite literally one minor medical bill or one unexpected car repair away from financial distress. Which leaves us with a pretty critical question. If the traditional, tried-and-true mechanisms of wealth accumulation, affordable housing, robust saving rates, and wages that actually outpace inflation continue to be blocked by these structural headwinds, what exactly does the future hold for the American middle class? The data clearly shows us where we are right now, but finding a path forward is going to require a serious reevaluation of how wealth is generated and, more importantly, retained in this country. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep questioning the data, and I'll catch you in the next one.